Hi, me again. Okay, so first of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for all the feedback and all of the, you know, information you guys are giving me. That's incredible. It's the whole purpose of the whole channel, of all the videos, is to get feedback and to understand your understanding of the content so I can adjust and elaborate where needed in the book. Thank you. Thank you very much. You guys are awesome. Also, so I had a request from a very good friend of mine, very intelligent soul, asked me to do a video about the difference between knowledge and wisdom. And I feel like that is best explained utilizing the tree of life. And it also helps to really explain the tree of life. So two birds with one stone, since the tree of life is the next chapter in the book, I was like, well, I'm about to go over that anyway, so let's just continue with what we're doing, and, you know, questions will be answered. But it's good to see that that's the progression of creative thought and exploration, you know, that when you read the fourth chapter and you go over the basic concepts, it leads you to thinking about what naturally comes next. And that's kind of how I wanted to write it. So as I'm organizing the chapters, you know, in my head 2 years ago, that's sort of how my progressive thought process went, you know, like, well, I need the basics, but now I need to elaborate on the basics. And this is still a very basic concept, the tree of life. So that being said, it immediately follows the chapter of basic concepts. So tree of life. Tree of life is Kabbalah. Kabbalah is not necessarily a religion. A lot of people at this point in time, you know, would consider it a religion or would practice it in that way. And there's places you can go to do those things. But it's really more of a concept, you know, like a scientific theory, like that just gravity or the Big Bang, you know, like it just sort of, it's information, it's a perspective. It's a perspective of origins. Origins that predate, you know, the DNA portion of your existence. So, you know, if you're a Christian or if you are, you know, Muslim, or if you have some type of religion, like structured religion, where they explain to you that when you're born, you know, you have an everlasting spirit already in the body, that's sort of like where they start, you know, like you're born and now your life is starting, like your spirit was created at the birth process of the body. Or they don't even really elaborate on that. They're just, you know, it's just, you're just led to believe that when your body is born is when you were born. But Kabbalah doesn't teach that. In Kabbalah, it's not that way. In Kabbalah, your existence long preceded your body, and it was an epic journey to get there. So, like, the body in and of itself is an epic journey, but it's not the first epic journey you've ever taken. You had to take an epic journey to get to the body, and Kabbalah's Tree of Life explains that epic journey to the body. So, anyway, in understanding the epic journey we've already taken to get where we are, we understand the difference between knowledge and wisdom. So let's get to that. Chapter 5. First of all, let the record state that there are several sects of Kabbalah, including Hermetic Kabbalah, Jewish Kabbalah, Oriental Kabbalah, Hindu has a version of Kabbalah, and there's the Western Kabbalah. There are also multiple spellings of the word, and you can go into, you know, research about how the spellings changed according to what translation or what sect is describing it. I'm not interested in political correctness, rather in content. And the one thing that all the forms of Kabbalah have in common is the most sacred knowledge of the Tree of Life. In the Nordic Asatru traditions, Asatru is like the Nordic religion, like the closest thing you could come to, like, Vikings having a religion. It's like, it was no rules. There was no, you know, you have to worship this on a certain day or bring these kind of sacrifices. It was just like a belief system, you know, like structured, organized perceptions. But anyway, in the Nordic Asatru traditions, this tree is called Yggdrasil. Anybody that's familiar with, you know, Marvel and Thor and the actual lore of the Nordic gods would be very familiar with Yggdrasil. In the Bible, it is referred to as the tree of knowledge of good and evil, from which, you know, Adam and Eve fell into sin. No matter where you find it, the meaning is the same. This is the truth behind the allegory. This is the origin of the fairy tale. Many different cultures have different versions of this image, explained in the best way for their culture to understand. What we go over now is the Hermetic version, as taught by students of Hermes, Trismegistus, also known as Thoth, also known as Mercury. If you've never heard of Kabbalah, here's a short version rundown. Essentially, Kabbalah is a collection of descriptions and instructions of how to raise your vibration to frequencies above the physical plane. Above meaning beyond, not literally like placed higher than, but sort of beyond, like more spiritual. So essentially like Jesus's ascension, where he went to heaven, you know, that's a really good description of ascension of consciousness, raising your consciousness. So in light of the Kabbalistic raising of consciousness, you know, their first step to doing that is to understand the tree of life, and it's in a picture form. So it's very, you know, organized so that simple-minded people can grasp these concepts. And so the picture is, I'm sure you've all seen the tree of life. You know, a lot of imagery of an actual tree exists in this place, but it's really just 3 dots on either side of 4 dots, and then lines that connect them. These are the pillars, okay? You have the balance, right? The one in the middle is the pillar of light, and then you have the pillar of severity and the pillar of liberty. And these are the different realms. Remember, we talked about the different realms. So we've got the realm, the Atziluth realm, the realm of fire is the top with the 3 supernal energies. And we talked about it, 3, 3, 3, and 1, remember? So, and that's, you know, the first created realm is Atziluth. And then you've got Bria, which is the watery realm. It's the second created realm. And then you've got the realm of air, which is Yetzirah, and all of its energies that are 3. And then Atziluth, or the Asaya, which is, you know, kingdom, earth, essentially, body, physical body. So the concept of the tree of life is you start at the top, which is the roots, because the tree is upside down, and then it grows and expands from there. And when you're done expanding, you get the body. When you get down to the Asaya realm, you're in the body. This is you in the body. And then the earthly realm and all of its, well, all that it entails. But all of this up here, these 3 realms you had to pass through, that's a journey. That's a whole journey that your spirit took. And as you're taking that journey, you're learning and growing and expanding. Just like in the womb, you know, it expands, and every expansion becomes something new to build onto the whole, you know, but it all starts around the heart. You know, the heart's first, and then everything just expands from that. And that's cool. Same thing with the spirit. You know, the spirit was the first thing, and then everything else expanded around the spirit. But before you expanded and built your own body, you built your own personality, you built your own understanding level, you built your own concepts of structure and, you know, dark and light energies. All of that was built before you even got into your body, and this is how. Okay, so, sorry. Kabbalah is a collection of descriptions and instructions of how to raise the vibration of your consciousness to frequencies above the physical plane. This is first accomplished in the mind, and then the spirit, and the body last, because all ideas begin in the mental plane. Your mind must be dedicated first. Your will, which is, you know, choice, is focused by the mind, which is air, consciousness, who balances the spirit, which is fire, desire, and the soul's, which is water, instinct. The body, which is earth, is the transitional plane in which these elements exercise will, free will. It's the one and only thing nobody can get around, free will. This is a beautiful system arranged for us to learn and, most importantly, grow. That's the whole purpose. What are we here for? Why are we in this body? What are we doing on this planet? Growth. That's your purpose. Growth. That's all of our purpose. Growth. Take it or leave it. Growth is a timid thing. It must be nurtured. It must be given constant attention. It must be guarded against the distractions and poisons of its environment. The whole physical plane is populated with shiny things that draw your attention away from growth. Distraction is a prison that will take you far from your purpose for lifetimes if you allow it. Like Odysseus at Calypso's, was it Ogygia? I'm sorry if I totally destroy that. Ogygia. If you read, you know, the Iliad, the Odyssey story of Odysseus, he went to this island, you know, Calypso's island, and she was, you know, a goddess who had the powers of illusion, and she would steal time from you, your most valuable asset. She would steal time. You'd be there and distracted, and you turn around and it had been 3 years, and it felt like 3 days. And that's kind of what the distractions are for. The Facebook drama and the work drama, school drama, friend drama, just drama in general. Not just drama, social media, TV, you know, like legitimately the phone, everything that distracts you from growth. It's there on purpose, and distraction is its purpose. I don't know how else to put that. Everything in the world, everything of the physical world is made to distract you from growth. Keep you angry at each other, keep you separated, keep you in hate and racism and gender, whatever. Just all of that is distraction from growth, which is kind of, you know, if you don't see it, you don't see it, but I don't see how you can't see it. It's everywhere. Anyway, like Odysseus, you must realize that you were meant for more. But the greatest antagonist to growth is the illusion of fear. Fear is an idea. It feels as real as love and equally as instinctive. But fear is not some boogeyman who plots against you. It is but a parasite in your mind. Fear is a byproduct of ignorance. We fear what we do not understand. Therefore, the only effective weapon against fear is understanding. Understand first that you will encounter this antagonist from time to time. Understand, secondly, that that's perfectly okay. But understand mostly that no matter what it is, it's not more powerful than your ability to overcome it. It's a construct of your mind. Therefore, to overcome it, you need only to understand it. Please understand that fear is really just lack of preparation. Like the Emerald Tablets say, conquer must he the phantom of fear, which is Tolstoy's way of saying it's not real, but it's only as real as you perceive it. If you perceive it to be real, then it's real. But there again, it can't hurt you. It can't pick you up and throw you. It can't, fear is just something you create. It's an excuse. Fear is an excuse. It's also a distraction. But the more you believe in it, the stronger it is, the more powerful it is. Fear is something you create and something you allow to control you. But at the end, it's really something that you control. So the way to control fear is understanding. This is where we get into the difference between understanding and knowledge. So we'll get into that with the supernals, but understand that wisdom is the antagonist of fear. So to defeat the fear, you have to gain wisdom. Wisdom starts with knowledge, but doesn't at all end there. Knowledge is the beginning. But to be balanced, you have to balance knowledge with understanding, and then together they make wisdom. Like, just like all things, once you have a balance, it creates something new. So we'll get into that, but it's essential. Okay, so step 1 for Kabbalah, set your intentions. Your intentions are your causes. Your greatest power in creating your own reality is stating your intentions. Make up your mind that you're going to grow. You're going to focus on you. You're going to become the very best version of you possible. And for you, nothing is impossible. Step 2, shake the fear. Nothing is going to come up from the pages of a book and carry you into a fiery pit of everlasting torment. That's just extremely counterproductive to even entertain. You control your reality. You decide your fate. So, step 1, understand that intentions are your strongest magic. This is my intention. Write it down in your journal. Write it down, speak it out loud, manifest it with your voice, with your vibration of intent. Step 2, shake the fear. Don't be afraid of what you'll find. Don't be afraid of what you'll learn. Don't be afraid if it's different than what you've already been taught. There is more. Step 3, tree of life. Understand the tree of life. Understand your beginnings. You don't know where you're going, so you know where you've been. This is where you've been before you got to the body. This is how you got to the body. So understand that getting to the body was a process, and understanding that process gives you wisdom of the process, which shakes the fear of what happens next when you're not in your body anymore. See what I'm saying? Like, it all goes together. Anyway, step 3, tree of life. The tree of life is the higher realm to lower realm map of creation. It's a blueprint for the evolution of spirit. It's the formula for creating life in a picture format. This is how you were born. You. Not your body. Your spiritual birth. Your live energy transfer from the source to the body it now inhabits. When we lost our automatic connectivity to the higher planes with the deactivation of our third eye, we forgot where we came from and how we got where we are. We forgot because this is our karma. This is our opportunity. We needed that opportunity to earn our way back. We had something great and we didn't appreciate it and we lost it. So in order to get it back, we have to start from scratch. We have to relearn the basic concepts that we forgot and took advantage of. So, start building up again. Let's do it. There are 10 stops that the spirit makes on its journey from the source to physicality. Each stop is for the purpose of growth in a different area. It picks something up from every place to carry with it. These stops are called sephirah. It's Hebrew, it means sphere, or sephirot in singular form. It's translated into English as sphere because, that's how energy, like light is like an orb, that's how energy works. Essentially, it's a circle on the map, the diagram. It's every one of these circles is a sephirot. They are all sephirah. Spheres, these little spheres or whatever, they represent stops that the spirit makes. So it starts, connected to divine unity. And then when it separates itself from divine unity, its first stop is here. So each stop has a ruling element, gender, corresponding human body part, and resides in a particular realm. Each stop also has an illusion or a confused notion created by miseducation, which we must understand in order to shed our fear of it. It sounds complicated, but I'm going to explain it in a way that it's not. The first stop that spirit makes from source is called Kether. Kether means crown, as it is not only the most regal of all energies, being directly connected to source, but also it's located at the crown of your head and connected to the crown chakra, the Sahasrara. The energy of Kether is divine energy. Kether is the roots of the tree of life. These roots dig deep into the source of creation and draw power from God itself. The tree of life grows downward toward physicality, but always the spirit is planted firmly in the energies of the creator. This is that wireless connection I was talking about. Kether is in the Atziluth realm of being. This is the realm of fire. This realm is represented in the tarot by the suit of wands or scepters and the yod of the tetragrammaton. This is where spirit wakes up to find that it is no longer nestled warm and safe in the womb. Separation from God is not a punishment, but an opportunity for spirit to have its own individual experience. And why wouldn't our parent want that for us? Spirit is just a newborn baby here. So it looks around and it observes its environment for a while. Kether's energy contains both genders, as it is a unified duality of the divine plane. Positive and negative energies encase our baby spirit and give us a balanced flow of life. Here is where we collect our individuality. So step one, individuality. That's what Kether is about. You're still in a dual, energy field. So you have masculine and feminine energies feeding into our spirit as it is separated for the first time from original source, divine unity, which is good. It's like, it's a hug. It's like, okay, you ready? Let's do this. So Kether's great illusion is called attainment. This is the concept of this huge mansion in the sky that awaits the man who lives a good and pious life. And this is where the virgins await the man who puts his religion before his virtue. This is the Elysian fields of the Greeks. This is the Christian heaven where Jesus sits at the right hand of Odin, staring at St. Peter's Gate with some kind of physical reward of earthly importance. Like, that's at all even logical. But, these are the misconceptions we have about Kether's attainment, that like this is the finish line. Once you get here, you're done. And that's not the way it is. This is the concept that some physical reward of earthly importance is just on the other side of death. And this illusion of attainment implies that there's an end to the cycle of life. Like, when you get to this point, you just stop. It also implies that the death of the body is the end of the journey. This is a dangerous notion. The illusion of Kether is a creation of man. Therefore, only man can dissolve its power. When we're ready to move on, after we've gotten our independence, the energies of Kether separate into genders. The positive, masculine energy goes into Shokma. And the feminine energy, negative energy, goes into Bina. So you started here, and now you're separated. And, light and dark, masculine and feminine energies, positive, negative energies, as, naturally that would happen. So, this is for the purpose that the balanced duality is maintained but separated. As mentioned before, this is for the delegation of power and opportunity for expansion. This is our spirit's first experience with separation of this sort. First, spirit follows the light. This is an instinct it wouldn't have if not for the dark of the soul within it, but spirit does not yet understand that. So first, we go to Shokma, the masculine energy of the supernal Atziluth realm energies. We're still in the divine realm. We're just, splitting apart the duality energies now. Shokma means wisdom. It's Hebrew. I might be saying it horribly wrong, and I apologize for that. But not wisdom as a collection of knowledge. Wisdom as a choice. Wisdom as a lifestyle. Shokma is the raw power of the fiery realm. He's the firstborn son of Akasha. He is fire, represented on the human body at the right temple. Shokma is the only begotten son of Kether. This masculine energy of wisdom is in the Atziluth realm of fire and is himself all of the active energies thereof. All of the masculine energies of the Atziluth realm, Shokma. In the Kemetic tree of life, which is ancient Egypt, Kemet was ancient Egypt before it was ancient Egypt. In the Kemetic tree of life diagram, Shokma is named for Thoth, the god of mathematics, astrology, alchemy, magic, science, and wisdom. Shakma is where spirit gets its free will. This is the most precious gift of creation because it's the only thing that cannot be pre-programmed, predicted, or remote controlled. This is the X factor. This is the unknown variable in every equation. This is the thing which gives us the power to grow. Will is what separates us from puppets. It's a byproduct of divine wisdom, and it is the first thing we pick up as individuals. After we get our individuality, the very first thing we go for is free will. I'm on my own now. Now I want the right to make my own choices. I want the power to make my own choices. I'm not a puppet. Isn't it interesting how nowadays we use our free will to give the governments our, control over us? Like, we have free will to give you our free will, and we do. And that's why it happens. But lack of knowledge, that's why we do that. So anyway, Shakma's great illusion is called independence. Wisdom is often a catalyst for arrogance. When spirit moves further out from divine unity, with its new individuality and all of the freedom that comes with it, spirit finds that not only is it free to roam, but also free to choose. Choice is the result of free will. And with freedom and will in its pocket, spirit is getting a little arrogant. That's a common weakness among firstborn sons. The illusion of independence is a perception of separation, which gives us a false image. We don't see what's there, only what appears to be there. This is the magic of illusion. We forget that individuality is not the same as independence. We are ever connected to the Creator through the roots of our tree. We don't disconnect just to separate. It's a wireless connection, but a connection all the same. A good example is coral. Coral is a whole plant community of individual polyps, but each polyp has its own individual experience, and yet all the polyps together share a brain. This is the way of life energy. The mental connection, because all energy is mental, is always there. It doesn't go away. If you came from source, you still have a mental connection with source, even though the physical is separate. That's just how that works. You can't separate the mental energy. You can only separate physically. You know what I'm saying? There's always that wireless connection. It never disconnects. It only changes or expands. So forget the idea of being independent from the source from which you came. It never happened. You are always connected. You can travel to the ends of the universe and back, but you will always be what you have always been. A piece of the whole. An extension of the Creator. A polyp in the divine reef. When the spirit has had its fill of will, it goes to the other end of wisdom, which is called Bina, or understanding. Understanding is the polarization of wisdom. Therefore, it is the water element, or negatively charged energy from divine unity in Kether. If Kether is the father, and Shokma is the son, then Bina is inevitably the Holy Spirit of this Trinity. She is the sacred feminine of the three supernal Sephira that dwell in the Atziluth realm at the top or the base, same thing, of the tree of life. She is the mother energy of creation. This is your Trinity, people. This is what the Trinity stems from. This is why there's always been worship of three gods in all of time. The Trinity. Every Holy Trinity is based off of this, the supernal Sephira. It's always been this. And you can allegorize it, and you can assign them names, and you can assign them, human characteristics. But at the end of the day, this is your Holy Trinity. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit is always and has always originated here, the Tree of Life. Kether, Shokma, and Bina. Divine unity, wisdom, and understanding. Dark and light. And God, God is both. So separating itself into different aspects is not saying it changes who God is or what God is. It's just extending the format. Does that make sense? Bina is the understanding that turns knowledge into wisdom. Without this key factor, knowledge is just data. Understanding comes from the soul, and it's more than just comprehension. It's emotional intelligence. Understanding is patience and empathy. It's the nurture in nature. Bina is the waters that God moved up upon the face of in Genesis. Water being the key word here. Water is the soul. Water is the feminine energy in all things. And Bina is the first time spirit encounters such raw feminine energy. She is the functional effect of Kether's love and the balancing support of Chokmah's will. She is limited only by her capacity for love, as love is her power source and inspiration in general. Bina is emotion, which is instilled into spirit as instinct. And from this point on, spirit will feel things without even trying. This is where you get your soul. This is where the soul and the spirit have separated now. Will is the spirit and, understanding is the soul. So together in Kether, you have the spirit-soul duality created. And when they split off, now their powers are intensified because they have more room to grow separately, but still ever connected. Does that make sense? That's the way of all things. So from this point on, spirit will feel things without trying. Spirit will laugh, cry, hope, dream, and grieve instinctively. That's what the soul does. The soul gives you emotional instinct. More importantly, spirit will empathize with fellow creatures effortlessly. You feel bad for stuff. This is where you get your conscience. I don't want to say conscience, but yeah, like your emotional connection to shit. Passive, sanctifying, cleansing, nurturing, and always expressive. Bina, at the left temple of the human being, is the last stop for spirit in the Atziluth realm of divine energies. She knows that the next step spirit takes is the biggest step of its life. So she makes sure that spirit is equipped with all of the emotional intelligence and love that understanding has to offer. This is inclusive of the not so fun emotions as well. The energy of Bina is almost entrapment. The magnetic pull of love and understanding is empathy and loyalty. Love binds us to each other. We will stay in a miserable relationship because we feel some duty owed out of loyalty. We will maintain an unhealthy friendship because the friend needs our help or our guidance. We will pull ourselves out of our path in order to save someone from theirs. We will break our own hearts just to use the pieces to put someone else's back together. These are all strong weaknesses that come from Bina. The illusion of Bina is called death. We know that we came from somewhere, but where we go after the death of the body is something we must experience in order to understand. The darkness of uncertainty is overwhelming, and the soul feels its emotion deeply in each of us. Bina is where the soul gives emotional connection and responsibility to the spirit's activity and ambition. The past is a memory, but the future is a mystery. The life that is revealed in Chokmah is challenged by the inevitable transition which is confronted in Bina. If there is growth, there must be death, for death is a part of growth. This crucial transition is necessary for spiritual progression. For life is always marching toward transition, else it'd be marching in place. The soul understands this concept, but the mind is uneasy about not having all the facts. Death is an illusion both created and maintained by the mind. The soul already accepts the death of the body as a transition into another life cycle. The mind, however, does not quite grasp the separation between spirit and the body. This is where people invent heavens, hells, and purgatories. So these are the three supernal sephira. This is the trinity of every religious system. It's often allegorically explained, such as in the Christian Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. These are the energies of the divine plane or the Atziluth realm of fire, where spirit is given its baby teeth. Below this point on the tree of life is what is called the abyss. There are a lot of notions associated with the abyss, but one thing is agreed upon worldwide. It exists. I know you've heard or read about the abyss somewhere. But we'll get into that in a minute. Let me go back to the difference between wisdom and knowledge, because that's why we started. So we decided that, wisdom is in the domain of will. That makes it a positive energy. Wisdom is a positive energy that makes it action, fire. Understanding is the opposite end of that, which is a negative energy, feminine, which is emotional intelligence, which is passive. So when we look at it that way, you can chart knowledge under the domain of air. Okay, your brain is a computer processor. It processes data. Knowledge is data. Knowledge is data processing. As you're processing this knowledge, you put that into the watery domain. So now it is stored in a file, to utilize as a reference. And that's cool, but that's a passive energy. It's the action of inaction. You don't do anything with it yet. You're holding on to it so that you can apply it in experience. Application of knowledge in certain circumstances. Now that gets you the experience. That's when you turn it from a negative energy, which is, processing, to a positive energy, application. This is the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Experience, understanding, application. This is rhythm, working. Knowledge would be at one end, wisdom would be the other end. But all of the stages in between would fall under the category of understanding. So you get data, then you have to process it, then you have to identify it, then you have to translate it, and then it comes back out as activity. So you go from air to water to fire, and now you have the perfect triangle, and now it's balanced, and now it's wisdom. So to be a sage or sagacious, you've already gotten the information, and you've already comprehended it, processed it, and experienced things concerning it, and now you can apply it, and you're applying it in a experienced, intelligent way. And I'm trying to think of like an actual life situation, and I was talking to somebody earlier about the difference, and it's like, he's like, well, why don't you be a drug counselor? You'd be really good at that. And I was like, actually, I could be a drug counselor with the degree that I have right now, but I wouldn't, because I don't have any experience with drugs. I don't have the understanding of the emotional intensity that these things have in a person's life. And because I don't have the experience and the understanding, I don't have wisdom about this subject. I can be book smart, and I can tell you how psychology works, and how the chemicals in the drugs affect the chemicals in your body, and how your body works, and how your body would process these things, and how it would affect you physically, and how hormonally this could affect you emotionally. But at the end of the day, I don't have the experience. All I have is the data. So I'm not wise in this area. I'm knowledgeable in this area through observation and investigation, but I'm not wise in this area because I've never been there. I can look at the map and I can read it, and I can